London Marathon is just a few days away now. I wanted to make a video about 3 of my top tips just from talking from past experience. Just three that I think are the most important. Just talking from experience, I've done 4 marathons, lucky enough to do London 3 times, and I did New York in November. And these 3 tips I'm going to talk about are just very generic, and I think if it's your first marathon, I think get these 3 right, and I think it'll make that whole race day experience just that little bit more enjoyable. You won't hopefully feel as anxious, but I'm just going to talk you through 3 things to consider, just 3, before going into the race on Sunday. My first tip is don't change anything. What I mean by that is now's not the time to be changing what you eat during the build up to race week. So for example, the night before, you don't want to be having something different than what you kind of have been doing, obviously during your long runs, during your training. So don't change anything. That also goes for the morning before the race. Stick to what you know that it's gonna digest well. You don't want to start having any issues with food that you're not used to. So that is kind of post run, but also during the run as well. If you think you've been training now for 16 weeks, you've been testing new gels, and by this stage you'll know what sits well for you, you'll know what gels work and obviously what don't. So during the marathon, if anyone hasn't done a marathon before, when you're feeling like you're starting to hit the wall a little bit, there'll be people all cheering you on the sides. A lot of them will have jelly babies, Percy pigs, even donuts. My advice would be don't be tempted by that, because even though you might not be feeling the best and all those sweets and everything are super tempting, but taking that could really mess up your race. You haven't been taking jelly babies or Percy pigs or even donuts, so why do it during the race? It could really upset your stomach, and that might cause further issues. So stick to what you've been practicing and you'll be absolutely fine. And one other quick tip as well is there's water stations every 3 miles, so it's super important as well that even if you're not thirsty, always take the water, little sips, little and often. 26.2 miles is an awful long way, so you want to ensure you're always hydrated, no big gulps, as that obviously could cause stitch, but little sips, little and often. So tip number 1, don't change anything, stick to the plan, stick to what you know. Obviously you know best, how your body reacts to things, so listen to the body. My second tip is to be organised. I think being organised equals a calm race for sure. So it starts with the evening before, I would say. So making sure that your kit is all laid out, your bib is fastened to your race day vest or your t-shirt, whatever it is you're wearing. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you can see everything. So everything you're going to be wearing, your nutrition's all there, your race day belt, have it all laid out. It will just make the morning that little bit easier. So you're not panicking about where's your socks, where's your arm sleeves, where's your hat. Have everything you're going to be wearing on race day, lay it all out in front of you. And if you want to, like I've seen other people do it, and I think it's quite a good thing, put everything on that you're going to be wearing the following day. I think that's super helpful as well. So kit all laid out, make sure you've got everything to wear on the race day morning. Also, going back to being organised as well, is what I like to do, especially if you don't live in London, you could be living in another part of the country, or even you've flown in somewhere from America, wherever it is around the world, is you want to make sure a few days before, even just the evening before, is plan your route and how you're going to get to the start line. I remember when I did New York back in November, that was one thing that I tried to nail pretty well, because I don't live in New York. It's quite a big city, and you had to actually get a ferry in the morning over to Staten Island to start that race. So yeah, try and just be organised in terms of like what train times you're going to get. Obviously you'll have a designated time of where you need to get into like the race village, and obviously your start time. So a few days before, the night before, plan your journey. It's definitely, again, makes that morning that little bit more less stressful. Hello, hi. My final tip is the start line, and there's two parts to this. The first is dress warm, even though if you're looking at the weather and it's looking probably more on the warmer side, but it's super important to wrap up. You could be in that race village or in that pen waiting to start for up to 2 hours. Make sure you bring an old fleece, an old hoodie, some more tracksuit bottoms, and there isn't a huge area to warm up in. And if you're standing around for 2 hours, that's an awful long time. So you want to make sure that you're super warm, and bring clothes that you're not afraid to not get back, because they get chucked over and they all get collected for charity, which is super nice. So make sure you dress warm. There's nothing worse than starting a marathon when you're a little bit cold. So super important. Keep warm, reserve your energy. So that would be my first point on the start line. Okay, the second part to my tip number 3 is don't forget to bring some fuel with you. Don't forget to pack an extra banana or an extra bagel, because you can be in that starting pen or in that race village up to between 90 minutes, so an hour and a half, or even close to 2 hours, which is an awful long time. You've had your main breakfast and obviously that's digested nicely, but what I did last year in November in New York Marathon, I actually took a bagel with me, and I looked at my start time and I had my extra bagel and I had it about 90 minutes just before I started. Keep an eye on the time, but it's a long time to wait in those pens. So even if you're not really feeling hungry, you don't want to be starting the marathon and feeling hungry, if that makes sense. So just take something with you. It's no harm in doing so. So those are my main tips really for London Marathon. Not super overwhelming, but just 3 things that I think will make the whole marathon experience just that little bit better. Not just London on Sunday, but for anyone watching who is planning on doing a marathon or whatever it is. Those tips kind of relate to any marathon, any race really, I think, not just marathon running. But yeah, if you liked it, please let me know. If you're running London, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know how people have got on, or if you've even used these tips or found them super helpful. I'm going to be heading down to London on Saturday. My girlfriend, she's going to be running London Marathon for the second time. She did it last year, she's doing it again this year, so really excited to be spectating this year and cheering people on. So one thing I would say is just enjoy the marathon. Like, you've trained for 16 weeks, you've done the hard part. The easy part now is just running the 26.2 miles, and it is one of the best running events ever. Like, nothing matches a marathon. So just enjoy it, take it all in, and I wish everyone who's running it all the best.